In this video, we'll be looking at arrays. So the demo that I'm showing right now will be available in the GitHub under the week 4 folder. There are 3 simple files in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. JavaScript is pretty much empty at this point. The HTML has like one button. When we click on it, the demonstration, you can see all the demo code. So I just want to quickly talk about what an array is. An array is nothing but a collection of data. So for example, if you go to a football game and you want to take the scores of 5 games, and then you want to do an average of the 5 games, that is instead of saving it in 5 different variables, which you would normally do, you'll say var game 1 equal to whatever the football scores is. I'm not good at football, so let's say student grades, for example. So if we have 5 students and then their grades are going to be 50, student 2, student 3, student 4, 5. So each person has whatever scores they have. So we would need 5 data variables to save them normally, but they all represent, all these 5 have the commonality that they are representing student grades. So in this situation, it's much easier for us, especially when the number of data that we store gets really high, like 25 or 30 or something like that. It becomes much more meaningful to have one variable called student grade and then store all of these guys inside that one variable. Okay, each item can be separated by a comma, 60, 70, 50. So instead of saving like this, we can just use one variable name and store all the data points there. So that is what an array is all about. So we give one name for all these 5 different items instead of using 5 variables. And there is a lot of efficiency in how you access that, especially for reusability. Like if you have a student 1, student 2, student 3, like that, the variable names, or if you have A, B, C, D, E, then it's really hard for us to write variable code. So that is why arrays are really helpful. You can access individual items in an array. So let me show you. For example, arrays start with at position 0 and ends at n-1. So what I mean by that is, if there are 5 items here, the position 0 is the first item, 1 is the second, 2 is the third, 3 is the fourth, 4 is the fifth. So this one is for this item, this array that has 5 elements, the last element can be accessed by position 4. So let us see what I mean by that. So if I want to access element 1, I will say student grade 0. This is position item 1. And so on and so forth. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, item 1, item 2, 3, 4. So this is how we would access all the elements. So it's a common mistake that people make. Okay. So I'm going to create a function called demo array and put all of this code inside that. Let me double check the name in the HTML. It's called demo array arrays. So we have to make sure the function names match up. So here's my function called demo arrays, and inside that I have all of this code. So when I click on the button, when I click on this demo, which has the one button, it is going to write whatever I just did into the console.log. into the console, sorry, into the console. So you have to open the developer toolbar, Control Shift I for me, for Chrome, or you could also say more tools, developer tools. Either way is fine. More tools, developer tools. Okay, one, Control Shift I. So you can see here, this is my JavaScript source. So we said print the 5, 50, 80, 60, 70, 50, and they are being printed here in the console. So you have to get very comfortable with the console. So make sure that you always open the developer toolbar and you are checking for your output there. This is only till we start adding, manipulating the HTML using JavaScript. At this point, we don't want to add that. And that is why all of your output will be in the console log. There should not be any errors here. If there is any error, there will be like a little circle that will show you something is wrong. So make sure that you do check that. So that's a simple demonstration of how you can access the individual. That's a little demonstration of what you could access, how you could access the individual items. So, well, this is not a very efficient way of doing, right? So we want to be able to get any element at any point. Let's say like we want to find the average of these students. Instead of accessing them one at a time like this, I want to be able to access them dynamically. So for that, I would need a loop. First, let's print, instead of these 5 statements, let's do this in a loop. I'm going to leave all this code so you know why we are using the loop. For var I equal to 0, I less than 5, I plus plus. So inside here, all I have to say is student grade of I. So that will give me the student grade. So console dot log. Grade for student number so this should give me every time whatever is the value of I, it will say student 0, student 1, student 2, student 3, student 4. So this one statement can give me, instead of these 5 statements, I'm replacing that. I'm shrinking it down. Of course, I have to use the loop, but it's a much more efficient way of programming. And this is the most preferable way. So I is going to be 0 the first time. And we have looked at the for loops, right? Second time when I go through the loop, I will be 1. Third time 2, then 4. As soon as it hits 5, it will get out of the loop. Okay. Okay, so this is, let's see like how we can, if the result is the same, it should be the same, right? We should be able to see the same output. Let's refresh the page. Click on this arrays. Now it says grade for student 0 is, student 1 is, 2 is, 3 is, and 4 is, and all of the same outputs are provided for us here. So which is exactly what we want. Okay, so let's do like average, right? Let me say, so inside the loop, let us say that I want to find the sum. Always initialize a variable to hold the sum. So I get access to each and every student grade inside the loop. If I want to access individual items of an array, I have to do it inside the loop. So I would say sum equal to sum plus student grade of I. So this would add every time the student grade and give me the output. So I don't want to show the sum every single time. I want to show the sum after all the individuals are processed. So I would say it outside the loop. So I want to display the sum after all the calculations. I do not care for the intermediate value of the sum. That is why I'm doing it outside the loop. So it's a great way to think about it. If you want to access the individual items inside an array, or you want to like display intermediate results, you would do it inside the loop. If you want all the processing to be done, then show something, then you would do it outside the loop. Okay. For example, I can just say here var average equal to sum divided by 5. And that would be my average score. This has to be done after outside the loop because we don't care to do it for individual items. Okay, let's see. Okay, that is where my function ends. Okay, so I have a for loop. Within the loop, I will only do processing that requires me to do individual items. So now let's look at this. Click on this. Let's refresh the page. Click on arrays. So I got grade for students. Then I got sum of all the grades. Then I got the average. Okay, what if I want to see if anyone scored above 75? If anyone scored about 75, I want to say kudos. Where would I do that? This is where I have to do it for each individual. So for each item inside the array, I have to perform this, which means I have to do it inside the loop. So I would say if student grade of I greater than 75, let's say greater than or equal to 75, console.log kudos. Okay, we'll do this after this statement. So this, I want to do it for each student by checking their individual grade, which means that has to go inside the for loop. Let's run this one more time. Refresh the page. Always refresh the page if you change your JavaScript. Then click on arrays. Okay, it tells me first guy got 50, nothing happened. Second guy has 80, it says kudos. Third one has 60, fourth is 70. So only one person got more than 75. So it gives kudos only for that one person. So I hope this helps clarify, how do you declare an array? Why do you declare an array? How do you access individual items of an array? Here we have done the most efficient way, which is inside a loop. And you have to use a square bracket to access the individual item. We also saw when do we do calculations inside the loop versus outside the loop. If there is some reason for your calculation to use the individual items, that is done inside the loop. If you just want the, after all the processing, you just want to display something once for the totality of that array, you would do it outside the loop. I hope this video is useful. Thank you.